In today's episode, we're gonna go over some TIG welding tricks, and I'm gonna give you 3 tips to improve. What's up everyone? Welcome to another episode from Pacific Arc TIG Welding. My name's Dusty. To all the arc heads who watch the show every week, thank you very much for returning. I appreciate you as always. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Dusty. I'm a welding artist from Vancouver Island, Canada. On my channel, I do all kinds of TIG welding stuff. I do TIG welding art, where I take a ton of time to do 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional art pieces, both in stainless steel as well as aluminum. I also do things like I'm doing today. We're gonna do a TIG welding demo. I'm gonna go over a few different things and explain a few tricks that I've been helping some of my students out with online. I have an online TIG welding program. I got a lot going on, to say the least. I'm too busy. But what I'm gonna do today is we're just gonna go over 3 simple tips that are gonna help people to get a few things dialed in. Probably not the stuff you would imagine too. This is gonna be some different stuff. It's a little bit more mechanical type adjustments for posture and things like that. We'll get into it anyway. First one, this is the most common one I see when people are getting going with TIG welding, and me included. I got stuck on this one for a long time. These are some tips on how to improve your standoff distance. So for anybody that does not know, standoff distance is the distance that your tungsten is away from the material that you're welding on. So a very common problem that happens with a lot of students is they begin to get comfortable with running passes being in nice and close. However, the first few exercises we're doing, we're not even using filler rod. So by the time we start to use filler rod, a very common instinct that a lot of people have is they increase the amount of standoff distance to the point where they're actually tending to weld about 1/4 of an inch or more away from their material. So what tends to happen is when people pull away from their workpiece with their standoff distance, this causes a bit of arc deflection, especially if you have any kind of contamination in your cup or on your tungsten, or if you're using a gas screen or whatever. It can cause your arc to wander off to the side, especially when you start to add your filler rod. If you're ever adding your filler rod and you notice that the end of your filler rod is blowing off, you have like kind of a weird looking ball or a deflated looking balloon thing on the end of your TIG rod, chances are it's because your arc is now focusing on the TIG rod and not the workpiece below it. So what's gonna happen is if you keep it nice and tight with your TIG torch, you're gonna have a more direct arc. It's gonna arc well to the plate. And then when you add filler rod, it's going to go into the weld itself. The arc is not gonna hit the TIG rod and blow the end of the TIG rod off. So that's one thing you'll notice. When you start to add too much standoff distance, you'll get a cloudier weld with a bit of contamination in it. As well, you're gonna notice that your filler rod is not breaking off cleanly. You're gonna have the deflated looking balloon thing, like I said. You're gonna get close to the weld and try and put it in, and it's gonna be messy. It's gonna be dripping off, and it's gonna be really frustrating. So anytime you're having those problems, you wanna get in nice and tight, decrease your standoff distance. It's gonna help out to keep things a lot cleaner. So one thing that tends to happen with a lot of people is they will get very comfortable, get in nice and tight, they'll begin their weld, and with the perfect standoff distance to start with, what will happen is they start to move along, they'll start to open up their angle a little bit so that the distance will become greater as they move along the pass. So ideally what we want here is we want a standoff distance that stays consistent with the entire pass of the weld. Like I said, people who are just beginning and getting comfortable with the welding process, they're going to be in nice and tight to start with because this is the most comfortable position here. But what happens is when people start moving, they'll get more and more uncomfortable. And as they start to get uncomfortable, they'll start pulling away. You'll get more arc deflection. Your filler rod will not break off cleanly and go into the weld. A lot of the time what will happen is you'll have the beginning of a weld nice and shiny, and then the last half of it or 2/3 of it will be really cloudy and overheated. That's a very common thing. So when you're running a weld, keep everything in nice and close and make it consistent for the entire pass like so. Couple things we need to remember. Don't forget about your standoff distance. Pretty simple. Right off the top, you need to really be focusing that you do not sweep out like I talked about. You want to have a consistent standoff distance from beginning to finish. So that's something that you have to remember. You have to be in a position where your hands are nice and comfortable. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. So that when your hands advance through the weld, like I said, as you start to get tired, as you start to get more and more uncomfortable, you will not sweep that angle out and increase your distance. As well as making sure your hands are comfortable. Another thing, like I said, is people are just afraid to dip. Guess what? It's not a big deal. Everybody dips. I dip all the time. Anyone who's super pro on Instagram looks amazing with 1,000,000 perfect welds on their page, they dip. It happens. It's not a big deal. Don't be scared to dip. It's not a big deal. Just grab a fresh tungsten. That's the most important thing. It's gonna happen, not a big deal. It's about what happens after you dip. So like I just talked about, number 2, This tip is gonna help you to improve a lot. So what we wanna do in this tip is we wanna avoid what I call restrictive hand posture. So what do I mean by restrictive hand posture? As you can see here, I have my wrist locked to the table. This is a very common thing that a lot of people do when they first get going. This isn't a bad thing because your hand is going to be really supported. It's not going to be very wobbly or anything like that. However, the problem with this, and this is what I mean by restrictive hand posture, is because now we've locked our wrist to the table. In theory, we're only going to be able to get a small amount of travel before I start to get uncomfortable. So for example, if I'm comfortable here at the beginning of my pass, I'm going to start moving. By about here, I'm already starting to have to force with my fingers and push a little bit further. So basically, you only have a path of 3 to 4 inches that are genuinely comfortable on the pivot that we have here on the edge of the table. So instead of locking our wrist like we talked about, what I'm going to suggest is we're going to move and put our pivot point, if you need it, just above your elbow. I got about maybe middle of my forearm, kind of is where I'm making a contact with the table. And now I don't have anything restricting my hand at this point here, which is the most important part. So I'm gonna begin my pass, and again, I have no contact with my hand or wrist here. It's all kind of on my forearm. I'm gonna start rolling with my weld, and I'm basically gonna be able to keep that most comfortable position the whole length of the pass. Now, obviously, this is pretty subjective. It's different for a lot of people. However, when I'm teaching people, beginners especially, I definitely encourage people not to rely on sliding their hand on the edge of a table, simply because there's variables you can't predict. When you lock onto a table at about mid-forearm or closer to your elbow, you're gonna have a little more hand movement without any kind of restrictions or anything like that. So that's what I recommend. I definitely recommend your hand posture to be as non-restrictive as possible. So we're talking about restrictive hand posture. We want non-restrictive hand posture. We want something comfortable, something that you can maintain for a longer pass and keep greater comfort because it's going to get better welds. So the third one, and probably one, arguably, well, actually these are all pretty important, but this one's very important as well. This one, I want to talk about sight lines. So what do I mean by sight lines? Sight lines is the line of sight that we're looking at our weld area. So what happens with a lot of people is we're gonna get set up behind our welding mask. We're gonna get very comfortable like we talked about earlier. They're gonna be able to see everything very clearly. And then once they start welding, they're gonna lose their visibility after 3 or 4 inches. This is a very common thing. Hands get in the way, tools and other things that you think might not be in the way. If you have a piece that's clamped to your table, you'll be able to see when you start, but then before you know it, the clamp's gonna be in front of your face and it's gonna be very distracting. This happens all the time, especially if you're welding on, like I used to weld on boats and boat cabins and things like that. So you're in very awkward positions and you think you can see everything really clearly, but after a few inches, there's something that's gonna rain on your parade. What I wanna talk about here is having good weld posture. And this is a big tip. This is something that's helped a lot of people out that I've helped in my program. I'll actually ask them not to send me a picture of them with their finished weld. I want them to take a video kind of from the side, how you're looking at me here, and I want to take a look at their posture. So when they're set up to weld, can they see everything really clearly? Or are they slouched forward, really close, looking like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons? So these are two obvious differences in posture. One of them, we're gonna have a good sight line. We're gonna be able to position ourselves in a way that we're gonna be able to see clearly. The other one, we're gonna be slouched with poor position. And like I said, after a few inches of welding, who knows what'll happen. You're not gonna be able to see clearly, so we wanna make sure that we stay in a position where you're gonna be able to see clearly. So if I have my weld cube on here, I'm gonna be running my weld across this plate here. I've already put a weld on it just for something else, but we'll just use this for sake. So I'm left-handed. What people will mostly do is they'll get set up just like I am here. So my sight line, and what I mean by sight line is the angle that I'm looking at my weld from. So right now, I'm looking at it about this angle here. And this is a pretty common position that a lot of people start with. So what's gonna happen is you start to roll through your weld, my thumb is in front of the weld at this point here. So I can no longer see my weld area because I'm gonna have to be peeking around my thumb. So what I propose is that a lot of people position themselves somewhere along a 45-degree plane. So I'll move the camera probably about 45 degrees to the weld direction there. And then what's gonna happen is we're gonna be able to see very clearly at the start. We're gonna move across the whole pass and you're gonna be able to see it the entire time. So if you got your elbow locked, your wrist is free, you're gonna be moving like so, and you're gonna be able to see everything very clearly. You're not gonna have your thumb, you're not gonna have your wrist or your hand or even the torch itself come into your vision. So like I said, you never think it's gonna happen. You're gonna be nice and comfortable to start with. And before you know it, there's gonna be something in front of your face. So all I'm saying is you need to think about the angle of which you're looking at your weld. Film yourself, have a look at what your body's doing. You can see if you start to creep in more and more to the weld. So you're gonna wanna maintain a comfortable body posture for the entire length of the weld. As you get more and more skilled with TIG welding, you're gonna be able to run passes that are longer. You're gonna have more control and more consistency for the length of those passes. But again, that's gonna come with time. So instead of making it difficult for yourself, just run passes that are a little bit shorter. It'll be much easier for you to learn that consistency. So these are big tips. These are tips that not a lot of people talk about. I've seen many how-tos. I've been to welding school and they all talk about the fundamentals of the actual tricks of welding and settings and gas flow and everything. All that is very important. But when somebody gets in and they get super uncomfortable and can't figure out why, this is the reasons that start to contribute to people being uncomfortable and not having a lot of success with their welds. So let me know if these helped you. Let me know if you're guilty of any of these. I myself am still guilty of some of these. I catch myself all the time, especially now that I'm filming myself for YouTube. I'll be doing a demo or something like that, and then I'll look at the footage and just say like, oh my God, my hand is so in the wrong angle, or I'm looking like I have terrible posture. No wonder I struggle with things sometimes still. It still happens to the best of us. So like I said, let me know if any of these help you out. If you have any other ideas for anything that's bothering you or anything you're stuck on, hit me on social media, send me a direct message. I'll try and get to it as fast as possible. I hope these helped. I really like helping people, especially with little things like this that not a lot of people think about, and especially nobody taught me any of this stuff. I had to figure all this stuff out myself. So anything I can do to shorten the path for someone else makes me happy to do that. So again, check out my website. If you're interested in my online training program, you can hit me up through an email on there. We'll start a conversation. We'll go from there and see where you're at. As well as art commissions. I do art commissions. I got a bunch on the go right now that are super fun. I'm having a blast with it, and I can't wait to get it to my clients because they're gonna freak out when they see them. These ones are sweet. And one thing I issue as a challenge to every single episode I do is if you've enjoyed anything you've seen here on this video today, go out and do a random act of kindness for a stranger. Help an old lady across the street, help someone in their car with groceries, help someone change a tire, you know what I mean? Even something as simple as going onto a stranger's page, writing something nice on Instagram. Just do something to spread a little positivity in the world. We need a lot of that right now, but that's something that I always ask for in return for someone watching my episodes. I'm trying to spread positivity, that's all. So thank you very much for watching today. My name's Dusty for Pacific Arc TIG Welding. I hope everyone's cool out there. I hope you're safe, healthy, and happy. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.